Hi, I am Allie Camilletti, and you are listening to Snack Leadership. I will be talking about everything leadership, broken down into bite-sized pieces. You will hear what different leadership skills look like in organizations and how they can rise teams up or take them down. I help leaders build resilience and improve performance by bringing awareness to opportunity behaviors in my business. Spark your mindset. I provide leadership and sales coaching, as well as team building and guest speaking. My hope is for you to feel inspiration and to create a spark in your mindset. Hi, everyone. Today we are talking about self-actualization. Self-actualization is the realization of fulfillment of one's talents and potential. Laura Ahern, author of The True Calling, is a transformative healer and speaker who bridges spiritual wisdom with scientific understanding. With a background in psychology and ongoing studies in natural medicine, Laura empowers others to transform their perceptions and experiences, fostering lasting change and a life of profound meaning. As the founder of Ascension Healing, she combines her spiritual gifts with psychological expertise and holistic practices to help clients break free from limiting patterns and unlock their authentic potential. When I was introduced to Laura's work with the combination of psychology, natural medicine, and spiritual connection, I knew I had to interview her. Laura, thank you so much for taking the time today to be with us.
It is my absolute honor, really, to be with you and have this time together.
Okay, so I'd like to start off with what is something that you've recently learned about yourself?
Oh my goodness. So recently, I know you and I were connecting before we began this recording, so I'll share a little bit on the backdrop so people understand the context, because recently I've actually been in this deep reflection on what allowed me to overcome one of the most difficult experiences of my life. And what it was for me was I was widowed at the age of 29. And it was something that was very unexpected. In fact, my husband and I dated for 5 years before we were together. We'd been married just 4.5 months. And out of the blue, he had a seizure. And I called 911. We got him to the ER. And there is where they diagnosed him with 9 months to live. And for me, discovering that there was, right, when life suddenly becomes out of our control, we discover that there's this part of us that either is going to cave under that pressure or it's going to awaken. And it's going to really rise above these seemingly impossible, unbearable experiences. And so for me, in recent months, I've been reflecting a lot about what it actually took for me to survive that. In fact, just recently, I was reflecting on some of the journals that I wrote just weeks after he passed. And because I was curious, like, how did I really get through that?
Yeah.
And the answer was just complete relentlessness to rising. It was this conviction in believing that this happened for a reason. There was a purpose behind this, that I wasn't meant to suffer. And it was this commitment I took within myself to really lead myself, to change what I could, recognize what I couldn't, right? Accept the things that I couldn't change. But really always seeing it from this higher perspective of why this was happening to me, for me, really, and how it could serve me.
Yeah. And at the time, what were you feeling?
Oh, absolute devastation. I mean, devastation doesn't capture, words don't capture experiences like this, because the truth is my entire everything had been taken from me. My best friend, my dreams, everything I had invested myself in, our financial livelihood. Like, when you talk about devastation on all levels, financially, emotionally, spiritually, right? Because how, right, it's like, how could this happen? How could God allow this to happen, right? You go to these really deep places, and yeah, moments of really not even wanting the next breath to come, not wanting that next day to come. So unbearable at times, truly.
I'm so sorry. I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you.
And It takes me back to just thinking about like how the mornings are the worst.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And for
It's
someone
the
like me who loves sleep, like mornings can be hard anyways. But
yeah.
you're right. It was those hours. It was actually those hours in the morning and those hours going to bed at night when like the silence of the night and the silence of the morning was kind of still with me. Because I wasn't stimulated or distracted by anything else. And facing my reality was exceptionally challenging.
Wow. So the self-actualization piece, like talk to me more about that and how you really embodied that and what that looked like for you.
Oh, yeah. I love this inquiry because the truth of the matter is, I didn't even know what was upon me. I didn't really know why this happened and what I was about to awaken to. This journey I went on that led to my self actualization and really ignited my own innate spiritual gifts was nothing that I expected. I knew I had intuition, maybe a little bit of clairvoyance. I had these things that kind of popped up throughout my life, but I didn't actually recognize that there was this untapped potential within me that could not only help me survive my circumstances, but help others to break free of the pain they were suffering from and set themselves free to live and actualize their highest potential. And so for me, what was really wild was this might sound crazy to people, but my late husband started coming through people that I didn't know, strangers, to give and deliver messages to me from beyond that rocked my world. They were so undeniable, things that only him and I knew, that it opened me up to going, oh my God, right? We do know, right? Like energy never disappears; it just changes
Yes.
forms. And when I started to tune into the energy that was still prevalent and this encouragement that I was getting from, you can say it was from Josh, you can say it was from our angels, from God, but they were super insistent in me moving forward. In fact, I had some temper tantrums about that. I was like, I don't want to, there were a lot of times where it's like, no.
Yeah.
And yet it just kept coming. And I knew that if I was getting this insistence on pulling myself literally off the cold, hard floor and getting up and moving forward, that there had to be a reason. And so my own self actualization came from just this deeply convicted belief that there was a reason that I was meant to experience this and that I had everything it took to move forward with this.
Yeah. Oh, so many things come to mind, and I've heard these stories of. I have a close friend that has been widowed also, and when I think of the messages through other people, and it's undeniable. It's
Yeah.
undeniable, and I've experienced that too. I had somebody
Yeah,
real
especially when
close
you're
to
not
me.
seeking it. Like, a lot of the time, like, it's fun when you can go to someone and get that, especially because you
Yeah.
said it's undeniable. There's things nobody else could possibly know. And my situation was really unique because I wasn't seeking that, and they found me. And so it became this like, oh, okay. You're not allowed to kind of stay here and get stagnant because you are meant to serve. There is something here that you're meant to contribute yourself to, even though I had no idea what it was at that point in time. But I love that you've also had that experience with just
Yeah.
being spoken to.
Oh, I had a time period where it was coming through a raven. And it was on
Mm.
hikes, it was in the snow, and, I mean, I would talk to the raven like it was him, and yes.
Oh, it gives me chills. I have chills all over because they're spiritual messengers. And there's so much. In fact, it's funny because the fifth part of my book, I do dive into that there is so much spiritual signs around us if we can kind of tune down the overstimulation that we're a part of in this world and just be in the flow of this kind of magical dance that's happening around us. We are so loved and we are so supported.
And so you're describing really what it looks like for people that are able to embrace it, which I love so much, but we also know there's another side of
Mhm.
where people go a different path
Oh, yeah.
with it.
Oh, yeah.
And not to get too dark, but can you share a little bit with what that might look like for some when they aren't able to really go to that self actualization place when they've had such pain?
Yeah, I actually love that you're asking this because it's been this kind of like collective message that's been coming through for me all week around this, around what it looks like to get stuck in the victimization of our circumstances.
Yes.
And it actually, I feel it in here, like in my heart as I go to see this really deep. It's actually almost like a decaying from within that happens within us because we become so identified as our pain. Not
Yes.
just with it, but as it. We start to identify ourselves as worthless, abandoned, all of these things that just they really do overrun. I mean, and on account of it, right? There's emotion, all of these chronic kind of like emotional, um, physical pain, all of this other different stuff that occurs because of our inability to kind of process that experience, that emotional experience. Because really, no matter what it is that comes into our realm to experience, it's the internalization of that experience that depicts what happens with it. Because you see all the time two people, very similar situations being handed, one rises and really has this impact. And then other, just like you said, gets into this place that they just can't escape almost. Does that make sense to say it that way?
Yeah, and I describe a little bit out of it as some people go to this place of they just numb.
Hmm.
And a good friend, she used to say it was Netflix and ice cream.
Yeah.
That was her numbing, right?
Yeah.
And there's all different types of ways we can numb as
Yeah.
humans, but the pain can be so intense
Yeah.
or that we just don't want to look at what really the universe is saying, "Hey, wake up, come on, let's do
Yeah.
this."
Yes.
And you're just like resisting it.
Yes. Absolutely. I love that you talk about the numbing. One of the things that I personally experienced was a lot of the numbing of my own like intellectual facilities, like just unable to process. Like, how do you cope? Right. For me, what was really beautiful about what happened there is it actually that intellectual, right? Our minds have these two really powerful balancing elements of our intuition and our intellect. And when my intellectual facilities kind of went offline, so to speak, it is when that heightened sense of awareness and intuition stepped up for me. If we choose not to numb ourselves in addition to the numbing that's already happening, right? If we choose to just embrace and get curious, like curiosity is probably the thing that saved me, as opposed to like being in it and identifying myself as it, but instead to pull off just a little and be curious about it. Even if in that moment it sounds like victimization, like, why me? Sure, ask why, right? Like, let's start asking for that clarity because I knew, and you got to understand, I grew up Irish Catholic, like, drinking
Oh,
was a thing of if people died, if people lived, like, it was you celebrate with it, you mourn with it. It was like a thing, you know?
yeah.
And I knew deep in me that I needed to not drink because it's a depressant. And it was
Yeah.
like I knew one thing for certain, I did not need anything else in my system to make me feel more depressed. And so I do think that me kind of pulling off some of those substances really helped me to have to face what I was going through. And yes, it seems impossible. There was this little like thing I came across on, I don't know if it was Instagram at the time, but this one of those little quotes. And it said, God only gives you what you can handle. God must think I'm a badass. And I
Right?
thought to
Yeah.
myself, well, sure, but I don't really want to be, like I can take it, but I don't want to take it. And the truth is, if we could just recognize that no matter how impossible something feels to us, if it is being presented to us in our life, then it's because we do have what it takes to face it. And we have that strength within. It's building our spiritual muscles if we allow it to, no matter how intolerable and unacceptable it is. Because I still, part of that pain is it is unacceptable to lose someone that young, someone that
Mhm.
vibrant, someone. And so part of the reason I think we hold our pain is because we almost feel like to move on beyond it says it's okay. And in our hearts, we're like, that's not okay. That's unacceptable. And so it's almost like we don't want to accept processing it because then we're saying it's okay. And we know that's not it, but I utilized personally to rise from that darkness. I knew that it would be an absolute disservice to my late husband to use him as the excuse to not live when he would have given anything to keep living.
Yep.
And so I used that as kind of that fuel for me to say, I'm not going to make him my reason. I'm still going to feel the things. I'm still going to curse the things that I wish weren't. And I'm still going to live out the life he wished he could live out right now.
And what I'm hearing too is allowing yourself to have those days,
Oh my
because
God.
no matter what, no matter how much work you will do, it will
Yeah.
kick your tail someday. And you're like,
Yes.
whoa, thought I
Oh my God.
processed this. What's coming back up? Right. And
Oh
so,
my God.
really, just giving yourself grace for that. You have
Yeah.
given so many tools, I'm hearing, for people that if they're like, oh gosh, I'm stuck right now
Mhm.
and I need to hear this and like make this shift. So, thank you. Was
You're
there
welcome.
one person that was like in your life at that time that really helped you through this as well?
Yeah, I love that. I love that question. I want to speak to two parts. Number
Yeah.
one, what you just said, you're right about giving the grace. When I reflected most recently on my journals, I actually noticed if I missed it for a few days and I got back, it's nothing but gratitude in those journals. And I would start that next journal with saying, the reason I've been gone for a few days is because I let fear get in the way. I was in a deep place of grief. I couldn't, and then I would check myself back in. So I love that you speak to that because there's power in the recommitment. It doesn't mean we can't give ourselves the moments. And to answer your question about who was in my life at that time, it was actually my sister Courtney. She's my older sister, and she held space for me to be all of it,
Mhm.
and to feed me when she knew I was going on this journey of like self love and gratitude and trying to find this higher, I guess, joy, right? In the midst of the pain. She really was just always available to me. I even came across an email that she sent that was like, here are all the things I love about you, right? Like just giving me
Oh,
kind of fuel when I needed fuel to like remember the good that was still there in the midst
yeah.
of all of that pain.
Yeah. How about a quote that you feel like embodies this? I know you had mentioned one and totally welcome
Yeah.
to use that one. Was that the
Yeah.
one?
So, you know what? The quote that yes, it actually is so perfectly aligned. And it's a quote that is in my book. It is from me. But the quote that I have is, your experiences, even the undesirable ones, have never made you less. They have
Yep.
always ever made you more. It's up to you to decide how. And that's really what it is like all of the things that we face are trying to help us become more. And it is a choice to persevere.
It's really beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else you want to share before we wrap it up with what's your favorite snack?
Oh my goodness. I don't think so. We went deep in a short amount of time. This
We
is so
did.
profound to me.
Yeah. Thank you. My heart feels so full and touched right
Mm,
now. I really
Thank
appreciate that.
you. Thank you for holding this space to hear and just let me speak organically on it. This is what you do by holding space for your listeners like this is just such a gift. So I'm so
Thank you.
blessed to be a part of it today.
Thank you. So, what's your favorite snack?
Oh my God, hummus is the thing for me. It is. It is.
Well, anymore, there's all different types of hummus. Is
I
it
know,
your
it's actually
standard?
just I thought about that when I was thinking about this question. Just the right, like, give me regular, traditional hummus. Like, we can get funky with it sometimes, but the regular, I'll put it on everything. Like, I'll eat it by itself. I could eat spoonfuls of it, you know?
That is so funny. I have gone through a phase this last during this fall of pesto. Like I could
Ooh,
do pesto, I put it in my soup, I put it on bread, I put it on crackers. I just eat a spoonful sometimes. I love it so much.
so good. And you just go with it. For me, I'm a creature of habit, so I'll do it until I don't want to do it anymore, and then it's my next favorite thing. So I'm totally with you on the pesto.
Yeah,
Do it up.
exactly. Exactly. Ah, thank you, thank you, thank you, Laura, for your
Oh,
share. And I'm so excited to have people listen to you and feel
thank
touched as
you.
I have. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. I so appreciate your time today. Thank you.
thank you for tuning in to Snack Leadership. I hope you felt inspiration, motivation, and felt your mindset spark. Snack Leadership is recorded and produced by myself, Ali Camilletti, and music by Shireen Amini.